that plunge looks very compelling just looking at it once you start filling in the holes.
Effectively just going to be continually drilled down dip across that entire 2.5 kilometre known mineralised extent and build out the resource as we go. And that's sort of just, similar to what Firefly have done. They've changed theirs from a 40 million, don't know what they're up to now. I think they're at about 80 or 90 million tonne now. And that's what they've just done. They've just systematically drilled down dip to increase the size of the resource, and that's what we're continuing to do here at Chester.
This is general advice and my opinions only. This episode's company has paid me for this interview. I may be long, short, or hold an interest in stocks or CFDs mentioned. Past performance isn't reliable. The interviewee's views are their own, not necessarily mine. LEVRD operates as a corporate authorised representative 00131 8377 under AFSL 548573. You can find our financial services guide via the LEVRD website, link in the show notes.
Righto, bag holders and stop loss owners. We're heading to the cold country, to Canada, New Brunswick. I've got Brett Wallace, MD of Raptor Metals, RAP. Welcome to LEVRD, big fella. How are you?
I'm well, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, mate. I'll go through the typical metrics from the punters. Trading at 3.3. You can see there was a bit of a rebirth at the start of January, I'm sure we'll go through for Raptor Metals. And you're sitting at about a 13 mil market cap. Mate, take us we're heading over to, as I said, look at the Bathurst Mining Camp. It ain't the coal country in New South Wales. We're in Canada, New Brunswick. How'd this asset come into the portfolio, mate? The Chester project.
Okay, so yeah, it was through a colleague, Adam Sirikowski, is on the board. One of his, network reached out, and the guys were divesting the Chester and Turgeon project, which were Canadian copper and Puma. So yeah, we actually initially picked it up right at the end of 2023. And then for the best part of 2 years, just worked to try and get it up. We tried to IPO it in 2024. Bad market, didn't quite get it up. So then through our main broking group, we identified a shell and we backdoored it into Eastern Metals at the back end of last year, and got the re-compliance prospectus finally off the ground the beginning of January, on the 9th of January. So just gone from there.
Yeah, very good, mate. So you've this Bathurst Camp, I haven't really, first time I've had a look at it, to be fair, and I guess the big mine historically that you're near is the Brunswick 12 mine. So past production, 137 million tonne at 0.75% zinc, 0.37% copper. So talk to me about that region, mate. Got it up on screen here with your assets and that one. So that's the big humdinger in the region that they're trying to replicate, I assume.
Well, yeah, that's the biggest past production in the whole region, not just New Brunswick as well. But there are other deposits in the area within the actual Bathurst VMS Centre. There's been Brunswick 6, they're really original with their names, Brunswick 6, Brunswick. But there's other ones like there's Stratmat, Half Mile, Caribou, which was operating up until a couple of years ago, until their operator had a bit of a disaster, not at Caribou, but elsewhere. So there's other mines in the area, and there's a significant amount of deposits, smaller deposits in the area as well. One of the things I was looking out for when I was looking for a project was that I'd been in copper for a while, and I wanted something that was over plus 1% copper head grade. And so both the Chester project, which had a NI 43 compliant resource on there, we converted to a JORC, and our other project, which we initially acquired, Turgeon, has a past, non-compliant, non-compliant JORC resource there of just over 3 million tonnes. So, but both of them were over 1%. And that was what I was particularly, that was what I was chasing, that head grade of copper.
Yeah, because you look at this district and Brunswick 12 historically looks like it was more zinc dominant. It's more a polymetallic area. Is this what I guess Chester? If you've got it was sort of headline copper as the resource, 6.6 million tonne at 1.07. But is it a copper dominant resource, or is it you're still getting the data together to prove up what actually the other base metals are in the polymetallic side?
Yeah, well, so the whole region is I guess a polymetallic VMS, but it's just that we depending on where you are within the region, some have a higher zinc, some have a higher lead, some have a higher copper. So I targeted the areas that had the higher copper. So this is both at Turgeon and Chester, and the project we recently just picked up at Silverjack and Headway. They are copper rich VMS, so plus 1% copper rich, but still have credits for lead, zinc, silver, and indium. So really the other key elements that are there that hopefully we can get a byproduct of.
Yeah, and you mentioned I guess what came with the project and the data, and that is that still getting like sort of re-assayed for other elements they missed? Like, have you still got access to all the core, or is that going to be done in all the new drilling?
Yeah, so with the program we just completed, we made sure we had the full suite of elements. But when we went back through a lot of the historic stuff, they carried out what's called selective sampling and selective assaying, which means they didn't sample the whole hole, and they didn't assay for every element. So fortunately, we've got most of the core is still readily available at the Bathurst department camp, where they keep all the core. So we will go back and recut and resample a whole lot of the holes where we can. We won't do all of it because there's over 10,000 metres of drilling, but we will pick out and probably do about 2,000, 3,000 metres of reassaying to do. And that will fill in, or won't fill in. What it will do is add to the existing database and the existing resource, but it will also give us a real opportunity to upgrade the current JORC resource so we can add in the lead, zinc, silver, indium into the resource model. So it should give us an uplift in actual tonnage just by doing that. The program we initially did with the drilling wasn't designed to give us an upgrade of the JORC resource, actually increase the size of it. It was really designed to validate what was in that deposit and increase the data set and improve the data set. And it's done that. The program is validated.
Well, you got like potential, as we said before, silver can sort of pay for a lot of your site costs, and then indium, the old touchscreen, critical metal. That's a very interesting one as well. That's a good one to have if it goes off its head.
We need to do a lot more work on the indium. We really understand what's happening with the base metals. The indium, I've actually been tapping my mate Dave O'Neill on the shoulder because he's American West have sort of hit a indium zone. So I've just sort of been chatting to him about what they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, mate. You had an announcement released today, day of recording on the 13th. And I guess these were your final assays for the drill program, were they, that you had underway?
Yep.
So read them out here. So 16 at 1.26, 5, which is as 5 metres at 2.25, 16.4 at 1.12% copper. And I guess you look at this long section you've got here, and we can see all the sort of dense data that you've got in the central zone that came with the project. And I guess you've just started sort of drilling this 2.5 metre long strike, and I guess that plunge looks very compelling just looking at it once you start filling in the holes. What's the strategy here with the cash you've got effectively?
Yeah, so the initial plan and what we've done was we drilled through the existing resource, which was through the central zone, and up to a part of the east zone. So that's where the majority of the initial holes were drilled. And then there were the final 2 holes, 15 and 16, were drilled a little bit just outside and down dip, but still where we've got a lot of drilling carried out. So the idea was to drill through the current resource to be able to validate that. But the final 2 holes were deeper. Well, the final hole was the hole 15, which was the furthest west, was at 210 metres. So that was the deepest hole we drilled. But we know that from the previous explorers that, drilling all the way out across down dip, down out to the west, the furthest hole that's been drilled there still has has an intersection of copper, and all the way through, back through, we're still getting zones of 20 metres at 1.5% copper. So the intention is like, now that we have getting all this data in, and especially after we've completed the cutting and sampling program, we'll build that all into the next step, which is effectively just going to be continually drilled down dip across that entire 2.5 kilometre known mineralised extent, and build out the resource as we go. And that's sort of just, similar to what Firefly have done. They've changed theirs from a 40 million, don't know what they're up to now. I think they're at about 80 or 90 million tonne now. And that's what they've just done. They've just systematically drilled down dip to increase the size of the resource. And that's what we're continuing to do here at Chester.
And that when you say drilling down dip, that far west hole, the 8.4 at 0.68, are you looking to start drilling further down dip from that, or are you more talking about drilling down dip from where all the dense part is?
Yeah. So where the current resource stops, which is way back up closer to the central zone there.
Yeah.
We'll start drilling down dip from there, and it dips at about 3-degree dip, and then just continually block out all the way down to that last known intersection. But then we'll still drill deeper from there, because we still think the mineralisation exists deeper and to the west as well. It's just that there's been nothing that far out drilled. So it's just a matter of keeping drilling and keeping drilling.
Yeah, because it doesn't looking on screen there's nothing that it indicates that there's anything chopping off in between that 2.5 kilometres. The grade looks like it's varying, so it's just going to be money for holes effectively.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So that inferred component, is that most of the stuff that you got to be infilling straight up to get that inferred part? I think that pre-2023 data, get that sort of into the resource as soon as possible. Is that stuff closer to the surface?
Yeah, that is. Yeah. So that will be, through that, particularly through the east and central zone, there's a little area that doesn't have concentration of drilling. So we'll need to complete some infill there, and then a bit further down dip from the current Chester resource. A lot of the holes were drilled vertically as well. So, we're doing all ours drilled on a dip just so we can basically obtain the structural data and also the true width of the intercepts as well. But it just we need that infill section completed, and that will take care of some of the inferred.
Yep.
But also just by doing the recutting and resampling of a lot of holes as well, that will also shift some of the inferred the indicator range as well.
Yeah, cool. Right. Mate, what's before we get on to Coyote, your latest acquisitions, seasonality there. So is this the all guns blazing time, like the summer over there? Is like you're going to have to deal with is it trying to get as much done now while it's not snowing? How's it work?
Actually, we drilled in winter. So our program here is drive in, drive out.
Yeah.
And we've largely got 12 months of the year to carry out work. Really, the only time you don't want to be moving gear, and that's heavy gear, is in April, May, and that's when it's thawing out. So it just gets really slushy and mushy, and the logging companies don't like you on the tracks because you're cutting in it. So effectively, we've got an 11-month window where we can drill.
Yeah, so beautiful. And so you said it before, is it mix? Is it all going to be diamond, RC? What's the mix of drilling?
So it's all been diamond to date. I think as we go further down dip, we might do a little bit of the sterilisation with RC. RC is not that prolific over in this neck of the woods.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, but there are a few operators over there, but it is significantly cheaper to do the RC. So when we go further down dip, that we know we don't have much mineralisation between where we've got the zone. So, but there is still mineralisation at surface, so we've just got to be careful. But I think we will do part of that will be RC just to save some costs.
Yeah. So you expanded the footprint of recent times with you got the Coyote project, you've got Foghorn. What's I guess how'd these come about? Obviously, with limited cash and having 3 projects, sort of how are these sort of ranking in comparison to Chester with what you picked up, or were they just coming along cheap at the time?
Well, a bit of both actually. So when I first acquired the projects and had been in country, a local prospector who vended the ground in, he had the ground immediately to the south of Turgeon, which is the large part we renamed Coyote. So it's picked up significant ground there, and that had a couple of really good prospects on there, particularly Silverjack, which is had some really high, had a little shaft, but back in the day when they pulled out 2 big bulk samples, one 17-ton bulk sample, and the average grade was 10% copper and 1,500 grams a tonne silver. So, I mean, really high grade. And that's what sort of took me straight away, that I thought, well, if we can get our hands on that, we increased the size of the area, because just, if you look at the Turgeon area itself, it's quite a small area, didn't have a lot of growth in it beyond really where we think the known resource there is. But acquiring the Silverjack and that whole strike line from east to west, it's been trench, sample, drilled all the way along, and it's anomalous all the way along. But specifically over to the east there around Silverjack, that's where they took those bulk samples out of the shaft, but it also had 1.6 kilometres of drilling carried out, and that they've identified a known strike there of 1.6 kilometres of defined copper silver.
Yeah.
So
I like the sound of that bulk sample compared to a rock chip. A 17-ton sample is a bit more confidence than a rock chip.
Yes, it's a big rock chip. And the other one was a six ton sample as well, and that was 5% copper and 1,100 grams a tonne silver. So the area is really fertile. So this area here is it's still a VMS, but it's a more Manto style or a more mafic style VMS. So all that means it's got a higher content of mafic rock, but what they're I guess the generalisation is it's a higher grade but a smaller deposit. So the average, the non-JORC resource at Turgeon was 1.55% copper and just over 3 million tonne. But we need to go in there and validate that. So that'll be our next drilling program. Will be a maiden drilling program at Turgeon, and that will be to enable us to get to a maiden JORC resource there. But we'll also be targeting Silverjack to put some holes, one through that shaft and then through the strike line, to see if we can replicate any of that grade and intercept.
I assume that if you could pick one thing to do right now, I assume it'd be drilling that hole into Silverjack.
Exactly.
That's just purely for the ASX headline purposes. That's just a ripper.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it'd be great to know how deep the system goes. And how big the width is. But it looks really, really prospective. I'm actually really keen to get in there and throw a few holes in there, as you say.
So there's a lot of just small scale shaft air leg mining in and around Silverjack already, or all these deposits, or.
Oh no, it had a little shaft, so it wasn't an air leg. They had a little head frame, a little shaft, but they only took it down to the water table, which is fairly consistent with a lot of. So even at Chester, it had an old head frame and a little shaft, but they really only took it down to the water table as well. So seems to be quite the norm through the area, and then once they've hit the water table, they've just stopped. Seems to be the way they've done it. And over to the west of that project, we just acquired the Heron prospect. That's actually quite prospective for gold, as well as the base metals, as well as the copper and zinc as well. So interested to get over there as well, because there's been some quite good hits there. 8 grams a tonne gold there. So. But the focus for here will be maiden JORC resource at Turgeon, if we can turn it into that, and and just get a better understanding of what's happening at Silverjack, so we can hit that harder next year.
Yeah, interesting, mate. The ownership and royalties and everything, with everything you've inherited, is it 100% ownership of all these projects? I saw there's some 2% royalties attached to each tenement. What's the sort of overview across your portfolio?
Yeah, we've got 100% ownership of all these projects. And yeah, how that system works is generally there's over each claim, there's a holder. So for the Silverjack, Heron, the vendor there's got a 2% royalty. Turgeon the same, Chester the same. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay, mate.
All of them come with a 1% buyback as well, so that gives us some flexibility to buy back as well.
Yeah. Mate, the balance sheet, the DOSH, the CommBank account. So a bit over 2 mil as of last quarter. I assume your quarterly's coming out soon, but I see you've got the in-the-money options, which are, where'd I bloody lost them here?
They're 3 cents.
They're 3 cent, 227 million options at 3 cents. So, and they're in the money now. So is there a bit of a balance sheet strategy going to consist of hoping that a lot of them are going to get converted to start bringing some cash in for drilling?
When we had the initial program start, and when we put the first announcement out to say that we'd started, we had the visuals, and then we had the first block of announcements go out of the results. We had a bit of a spike. So we has been probably 40 million that have been, I think it's 40 million out of the 260 that have been exercised to date.
Yep.
So there has been some spikes. So there's still 220 million options to be exercised at present. So and they've trickled through. Generally, when we put an announcement out and there's been a bit of uplift in the share price, there's been a bit of guys exercising the options, which put a little bit of money back in the account. The other thing there is when Eastern Metals, they divested one of their projects out before the recompliance prospectus went through, and that was the Cobar asset.
Yep.
And as a part of that, we've got I think it's something like 600 or 700,000 cash value in shares in Australian gold and copper. So, we've got the flexibility there to tip a few of them out as well if we need the extra cash.
Yeah, and because have you still got the legacy Australian ground? Is it Emu Lake, Arunta?
Yep.
75% of Mount Skinner, and that are they potential options to divest as well?
Potentially, yeah. We're intending to get up. We've got to go and meet some expenditure commitments at Arunta, so we'll probably get up there in the next four weeks as well to have a really good look at that and see whether it's going to be a keeper or we divest it out. Emu Lake, that was one of the projects that Raptor had. Similarly, that just needs a little bit of work. That's a fairly low expenditure program though. But we may package it up and just concentrate on the ground in New Brunswick as well. So,
yeah.
But that won't happen immediately, Matt. We'll just carry out the work we need to do, make an assessment, and then if we're going to divest them out, then we'll do that. Yeah.
Is there much value in when you're becoming a Canadian focused explorer listed on the ASX? Is there much value in the dual listings, the over the counter stuff on the TSX, or is it something you look into or going to avoid, or how do you view it?
We'll avoid it. You get a double up of compliance and corporate responsibility, and I think there's enough companies operating around even just in Australia that have got projects overseas and they're not dual listed. So they just look at Emerald. They don't need West Africa. There's a whole bunch there that just have stayed local with the ASX and have just managed their projects responsibly from here.
Yeah. I'm on your line there, mate. If it's extra work, why would you want to do it if it's not going to do anything? Yeah. Mate, so next 12 months, if just the quick summary, assume bloody pay trying to get a bloody hole into that Coyote shaft would be nice. But I guess with what you've got pre-quarterly, and you were 2 million, so I won't let you make your disclose how much cash you've got actually now, but what is the pipeline with what you've got and where's it heading?
Yeah. So initially it'll be, quick bit of work at a runter that we just need to make expenditure, but the main play will be getting the cutting and resampling program happening for Chester, and then the maiden drilling program at Turgeon Silverjack. And that will hopefully get us a maiden JORC resource at Turgeon, and give us a really good understanding of what's happening at Silverjack. But the main play, and hopefully towards the back end of the year, and look, we'll need to raise money to drill out Chester properly, because it will be more like a 10,000 metre drilling program to start with, and that will be the main play, to just drill down deep and increase to hopefully double, triple the size of the resource at Chester. So that's what the next 12 months looks like.
Any looking for strategics in that region? Like what's going to be the big thing you feel that's going to get you out of that sort of 10, 12, 13 mil market cap with, always chasing sort of the 2 mil raise? Like what's a big catalyst that could bring something to you in the next 12 months?
Well, hopefully we get a really good drill result at Turgeon and Silverjack, and we can capitalise on that and do a significant chunk of, ideally, if you manage to do a 10 million raise, then I'll take it. There might be a bit of flow through as part of that as well, but that's what the next 12 months is, to get a significant chunk of cash in the door so we can really drill out Chester properly, because getting that to a 15 to 20 million tonne project size, that would really enable us to capitalise on a lot of other stuff that's happening in the district as well. Yeah, we're not the only explorer there. There's a few others there, but there are other opportunities there as well. So while I'm not specifically looking out for a project right now, there's always something good in the neighbourhood to keep an eye out for.
Well, especially if you only have to pay $500,000 cash for it, and some shares like you did the last one. So you'd be mad not to.
Yeah. It was a good vend. And there's a lot of guys that just aren't greedy. They just want fair value, and a lot of them have based it on how I worked out the value on the initial deal for Chester Turgeon. So they've used that as the measurement, which has been great.
That last one, mate, just a confirmation. Because a lot of these vends and everything, I see there's a lot of shares that are escrowed for 12, 24 months. Well, when do those ones sort of become unrestricted?
So there'll be a lot coming out of escrow on 9 January, so 12 months, and that will be a lot of the seed investors that will come out, and the vendor, Canadian Copper and Puma. Obviously, all the directors and related parties and a lot of guys, like we're all escrowed for 24 months, so we've got another 18 months to go.
Yeah. Nah, cool. Roger that.
If anything, I'll be buying once I'm allowed to buy again.
Well, you're a bloody director. You should be shooting yourself if you sell them.
I can't buy at the moment, though, either, Matt. So
how long is in a blackout for?
Because we've received the results of the geophysical survey. We're just getting all the interpretation and the plates modelled up. So probably another week or so there, but then we're sort of right close to the quarterly. So I think there's a 2-week blackout period for the quarterly. So probably August is I can start buying, which would be good. And then I probably will.
Yep. Bloody just as after you've had 10 pints at Diggers, mate. Perfect time. Too easy, Brett. Thanks, Eve, for that, mate. That looks bloody interesting little, got that one on screen, that copper corridor. Looks very interesting at Chester. So hoping you bloody get that bloody hit so you can raise a good lick and start punching the holes in, mate. Best of luck over there.
Yeah, thanks heaps, Matt.
Good on you, Brett. Cheers, mate.